Oh man, I need some serious Botox. I keep talking to all these young bucks who are getting their captain's licenses, and it's grossing me out how shiny faced and adorable and not completely sun damaged they are. I hate them all.
Yes.
And with that in mind, welcome aboard the Funny Boat Podcast. I am your host, Captain Boomies, all craggly and gross and sun damaged. With me,
You're beautiful. What are you talking about?
with me is my other favorite craggy-faced fella, the broker with the beard. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm apparently doing craggly fantastic today.
Well, today I'm super excited because we are going to be talking to one of my favorite internet captains out there. She is the Confident Captain on Instagram. We're going to call her Cathy for today because it'll make everybody's life simpler since everybody here is Captain. It gets real annoying. Welcome aboard. How are you doing, Cathy? Oh my goodness. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited. I get to watch you on, we kind of hit back and forth, and I missed you at the Miami Boat Show. So
That was so sad. I actually missed a lot of people at the Miami Boat Show because I was bopping around a little too much. But what were you doing at the Miami Boat Show? Anything fun?
Well, I actually transported some boats for an electric propulsion company called Evoa. And
Oh boy.
they were kind of, they were,
Here we go.
I know. Here he said. But where does the electricity come from? Yeah. So, So that, and then it was actually just a way to, see the Miami Boat Show as well, and just kind of learn about their products and things of that nature because they're actually out of Orlando.
Are you a boat show nerd the way we are, or are you anti-boat show?
Well, before boat show, I've been doing boat shows for 20 some odd years, and the hot dogs have just really gotten to me. So I've kind of stayed away from boat shows.
Okay.
As much as possible. The food has gotten better in 20 years. There's, now there's arepas, and there's
Olé.
and there's a sushi for $50. Well, the $15 hot dog you used to complain about is now like looking pretty damn good.
I love,
So it's all reasonably priced
Yeah.
still. That's good.
$15 hot dog, which I always forget to eat at boat shows. So people talking about food at boat shows is like, oh, you mean not liquid food? Got it. Because normally at a boat show, I'm off the hook because all the boats are there already. I don't have to drive nothing.
You were doing some guerrilla marketing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
You were hand delivering all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I was, okay. So being let's talk about being an internet captain. Being an internet boat floating captain is very weird, and companies do talk to us about all kinds of stuff. So when you're at a boat show, it's a great time to hit on a bunch of different details because there's going to be a boat there that applies to whatever the company that you're dealing with wants to talk about. So, some things apply in some places and some things don't. For example, Prestige has these boats with these really cool cameras that do this 360 drop down view from the helm station. That's really fun when you're docking, so you can see everything that goes on, and you can like creep on people at the dock, like from all the camera angles. So I just spent way too much time messing with that, but that's one of those things that's like, I want to talk about this technology that's available and show it off for the brand, and a boat show is a great place to do that.
Oh yeah.
So meanwhile, like everywhere else, like everywhere else, it's much harder to get the kind of access you want. I love boat shows. I'm obsessed, and I'm sorry. You have a different obsession though, and
Yeah.
and I'm so excited to talk about this because it's unique. It's unique in that I don't think people know that this is a professional captain career. Would you mind telling us all about what a total badass rock star you are with running these insane wakeboarding boats?
Well, it's kind of the reason why I created the Confident Captain is because I have a hard time talking about myself. So if I created this entity, then it was easier. And then if it was to grow and, hopefully as businesses do, it'd be great. But to give you a little background, I started off as a professional wakeboard athlete.
Amazing.
And I started late. I was 27, and I got introduced into the wake sports or water sports industry when I was like in 94. I started working for a pro shop, and to be better at selling, I just got out on the water and tried different stuff, and I loved wakeboarding.
Nice.
Like it was epic. And so I just started going on my days off, and then I had an opportunity to go to Italy and work at a ski school so I could train and do the European Pro Tour. And this is before internet.
Oh.
Right. So I was an amateur, but I was like, hey man, like I'm going to Italy and I'll do the pro tour. And if I suck, it don't matter. Nobody's going to know. Unless they get a fax, like Cathy's trying or their dot matrix thing, So yes. And so that was kind of like the start of doing that. And then I ended up like marketing, and for my own sponsors, I became my own manager, really is kind of how it went. Because back then, I was the only girl on the boat. So, all the dudes are in board shorts and six packs and
oh,
V's.
darn. Oh, darn. Sounds terrible.
So, yeah, So I would end up I started doing that all like when I was 27, and I was a bit late into the game. But women on the tour at that point in time, it was new. They'd only been on tour a couple years. So being in Italy, having an amazing time, and came back to the States. I won the national and the worlds as an amateur.
Woo! Oh, dang. Yeah. What did that feel like?
Nice.
To be honest, I think I'm hard on myself. I was like, okay, now what else? I just kind of felt like it was a fluke because I was 27, and all these other girls are like, they've been water skiing or being in water sports their whole lives. So I just kind of, on an amateur level, I thought it was a fluke. And then the following season, wakeboarding for women, I think became something in the Masters, US Masters. Ooh. So they had a qualifier, and I got the third spot in the qualifier. So then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay. So my first tournament was the US Masters as a pro.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cathy's like, Cathy's just saying, what are y'all doing?
Confident.
Yeah, like, get it.
Confident.
Yeah.
Are you guys trying?
This is amazing. Okay, I realize I need to back up for just a second here because people might not know what wakeboarding is. And this is something that we're lucky in that we get to talk about all different types of boating, and I have wakeboarded before. And the best way I could describe it, and then I'd love to hear how you describe it to people that have no idea what you're talking about, but the way I'm going to describe it is boats already make a wake when they're moving through the water. And
correct.
Wakeboarding is an opportunity to utilize that wake to throw like a little baby surfboard on it, and then you get to ride behind the boat on that wake. Is that a good way to explain that?
You're close.
Okay.
Because now there's wake surfing. So when you say surfboard, they're going to maybe think wake surfing. So how I explain it is wakeboarding is simply like snowboarding behind a boat, but using the wake like a hit. And then when you get in the air, you're doing flips and spins.
Oh, man.
And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's super aerodynamical.
Aerodynamical. I like where your head's at.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a new word, people.
Too fantastic.
So, in the boat industry, has totally changed as far as in the water or the towed water sports, okay, or the water sports industry. So back then, we still had a direct drive, which was your slalom ski style boat where the engine was in the center of the boat.
Yeah.
Okay. On the low pylon. And then what we're doing is filling up like freaking Home Depot, those 5-gallon buckets with concrete.
No way. Just so you can weigh down the back of the boat?
Yeah, like let's see, I think Mastercraft was at the 209. Like the original X-Star was a direct drive. And so they had these buckets all filled up, and we had it all the way around the engine. And then we put a sheet of wood, plywood. No. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. On the top so we wouldn't fall in it. And then and literally the rub rail is like in the water.
Well, okay, so
Wow.
so okay, now there's all these modern conveniences of jet drives and ballasting that's possible on some of these newer boats, so that you can create the amount of wake that you want, so that you can do a flip off of it if you so desire. They've got those reverse cameras for whoever's on the helm to be able to see always behind them while they're looking forward. There's so much technology involved. How often do you find yourself telling people like, you don't know how good you've got it?
Not all the time. I mean, stern thrusters? What? I'm like, what is happening? But that's how big the boats have gotten. Like before, a wakeboard boat was really just a 22-foot, maybe 22-foot boat. And so then they started doing where they had an extended pylon that would slide on top of the tow pylon.
Oh, wow.
To get you up, and like, because what happens if you're this guy and here's the tow pylon down here, when you're jumping up trying to get air as the boat's going forward, it's actually pulling you down.
Pulling you down.
By getting it up here, now it's pulling you up. But the other problem that started to happen was when someone would pull out to the side, the boat would tilt, it would flatten the wake, and then as they're trying to come in, it was still trying to build itself up. So that's when the tower came about, and Correct Craft was the first one out there to come out with the flight tower, and they debuted that in the 1997 World Championships.
Wow. I just realized my mouth has been open this whole time because I never understood the tower, other than I kind of had half an idea that it had something to do with being able to pull somebody out of the water, like up and out higher.
Yes.
I kind of understood that.
Now you're trying to get this
Yeah.
action. Also, it's allowing you to get more air behind the boat, more float time.
Right.
It also allows you to be able to put your equipment on some really cool equipment holders, which nobody remembers to bring in, and then they end up in the boathouse, and then it keeps the industry keep going. For new boats.
I always thought those were a perfect spot, though, for sponsors to put their information on, since it is like right on the side of the boat.
Really? Yeah. But what really helped was for driving. So before, when you had that really tall pylon, and as I mentioned, the rider's cutting out, as a driver, you're having to compensate. Otherwise, it's going to sling the ass out.
It's like having a weather drogue out. Like if you're an emergency drogue steering system, now you've got just a human doing it instead.
Yeah. Because we also didn't have trim tabs either at that point.
Wow.
Okay. Because, so let's put this wide out there. And this is because now I'm pretty much just teaching people how to drive our boats, like the wake industry boats. I mean, I do everything else. I'm not a Captain Boomies by any means. I would love to be. I would even love to just be a quarter.
Look, I'll get you out there on whatever you want to get out there on. Like, you want to try something different? Let's do it.
Like, but at any rate, I get a lot of my clients come to me and they go, "Hey, I've been in boats my whole life. We had a center console, we had this, we had that, and I just can't get in the boathouse." And the reason being is it's a single screw. When you turn the wheel, It's not turning the prop. It's only turning the rudder. Okay, so when you go in reverse, it's reversing one way, and that's to the right. If it's a newer transmission, some of the older transmissions reverse to the left, but in our industry, that's what it does. Some have it out there that they actually reverse left and right.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see
They
it.
have like a secondary rudder thing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But the stern thrust, the stern thrusters have really made it way easier. And I'm always teaching my clients how to do it without it, kind of like Nike Airs. When the air goes out, you just got a pair of expensive sneakers.
Well, okay, this brings me, one of my favorite things to talk about is bow and stern thrusters, and how people always give other people a hard time for using them. And I think it's important to practice not using them, but I also think you should feel no shame in using them. Because in my mind, when people are like, oh, well, what are you going to do when it's not available? It's like, well, if you've got twin engines, do you practice docking on one engine? Because you should. Like when one of those goes out, which it will, like, do you practice that?
Usually when you're docking.
You know, so either yes or no on that. And either case, it's still just another tool in your arsenal when you're piloting. And you should feel no shame.
I don't feel any shame. I mean, the past 3 seasons, I've been going up to the Hamptons working for a dealer up there.
So fancy. Sorry, let me put my pinky up and have a cocktail. Like, hello. The Hamptons.
I tell you what, I did it because during COVID, I wanted to keep my brain busy, and that's why I got my captain's license. Like, really, for what I do. I mean, here we're landlocked. We've got over 50 skiable lakes within the Orlando area. So, I mean, it's a great water sports and water enthusiast community. We've got like maybe 3 or 4 chain of lakes that have some traffic schemes through canalways and stuff like that. But during COVID, obviously, like, we were shut down. And so, I mean, we were wake surfing. like I tell you what, to live on the lake was amazing, but I wanted to keep my brain busy. So I got my captain's license, and, you know, just to have it. And then a couple of my buddies were like, hey man, we go up to the Hamptons if you want to talk to the owner, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay. But it's actually the North Fork of Greenport.
Okay. Love it. It's beautiful.
So I sold a boat out of there.
And I freaking love it because Florida is hot. I'm going to be 55 this year. And it's sort of like, damn, like, I am sweating bullets. You know, it's freaking 8:30 in the morning. You know, you got boob sweat, you got butt crack sweat. Freaking the person who you're trying to teach something, and you know, it's hard to concentrate. So, you know, I met Joey. He's from Peconic Watersports up there. Great outfit. And yeah.
Okay.
I thought I was driver until I got up there.
I want to go back to you. So you got your captain's license. What surprised you about getting your license? Anything?
I mean,
how easy it was.
No, lie to us.
Okay. So this is the thing. I haven't been in school for 30 some odd years.
I hear this.
I literally took a month to go through the thing. I read the online stuff. I read the book. And then I studied another month before the proctored exam. The proctored exam, actually, because mind you, I did not grow up on the water. I'm from Kentucky. I was camping, catfishing, grew up on welfare. You know, it's like, so the intercoastal environment, I didn't have a lot of access. Well, I have access, but that's not my jam. Like, I live here. I'm in a lake environment and some rivers. St. John's River is beautiful. You know, maybe some of the ICW down there and off of Merritt Island and all that stuff. But it's not instilled in me. So there's a lot of stuff to learn. The mapping, which I thought I was really going to screw it, I got 100%.
Yeah.
So I was just like, my little thing. looking at the stars.
You've got it.
yeah.
Well, I'll send you a sextant right now.
My computer's sitting on one right now.
Oh, this is so cool. I love that you went for it. I love that you have turned it into a coaching business. So I love talking to other people who coach boaters, because I think one of the most important things out there is that, yes, education is super important. It's more important on the water than anywhere else, because it is supposed to be fun, first of all. But there is a lot to know, and it will take you multiple lifetimes to get good enough at it.
Yes.
And so there is a baseline, right? And the fastest way to get you that knowledge is to go out with people who have more knowledge than you.
Correct. And that's what the Hamptons did for me.
Amazing. Amazing.
So, doing charters, it's 6-pack license. So you've got 6 clients. I had a deckhand, and I remember when I got this job, they're like, "And you're gonna have a deckhand." I'm like, "A deckhand? What the hell did I have?" Like, because here we're a mirror, a PTM mirror, like, because I can see 270, and I'm just used to coaching and driving. And then I also have some helmets that I use, but that's for wakeboarding and wake surfing. But now I'm completely just sloughing that all on my pro friends, and just really dedicating to driving, because the driving I really feel passionate about. Again, COVID, the increase of boaters and just chaos, and just there's a disconnect between, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but I don't really care, because it's true and everyone knows it. But the fact is, there's a disconnect between, I guess, what is it, OEM, the dealer, and the consumer, and the consumer has to seek it out.
Yeah.
Right.
They have to seek out the knowledge, and that's the problem. So my deal is, when someone comes to me and they're like, "Well, how long does it take to drive the boat? How many hours do I need?" And I'm like, I guess we're going to be on a lifetime plan here. I said, I've been driving 30 years, and I'm still learning.
Same.
Right.
Same.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I give it to them like this. I said, "Okay, do you have kids? Do you guys have kids?"
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
So
No.
when
I like time and money.
I don't have kids. I have a bunch of young friends that keep me like I'm the mom. They used to call me the wake nanny. So
Oh, I love that. No, I refuse to be the adult.
picture for that one too. It's funny.
In any.
And then you showed them your medals.
Yeah.
Your trophies. Oh, these?
Yeah. But I put it like this. So when your kids become driving age, this to me is the direct relationship between car driving, the car experience, and the boat experience. Okay. What would you do when your kids are ready to drive, you take them to the dealer, you pick something out, and now you're going to go out to the stadium, and you're going to get them in the car, and then they're going to drive around. This is gas, this is a brake, and you got to take the rules, for the driver's test. And they pass the driver's test, and now they're kind of introducing them to the car, and then they go, "Okay, here's the keys," and go home.
Yeah.
Go home with this car. Take the highway, take the back roads. That is what boating is to me, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, because there are so many senseless accidents. It's beyond the whole funny shit that you see on the boat ramp.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's really the really serious stuff, and it's really because it's the lack of. There's plenty of knowledge out there, but you're leaving it up to the consumer to seek that knowledge.
Yeah. And they don't know.
Just,
and they don't know what they don't know, right?
They don't know, but they don't want to know. And part of it is a falsified sense of knowing by having a lifetime boater's license. Again, I'm probably going to get shut down, but
by encouraging people to seek further knowledge and education? I'm sorry, this is the tamest stuff we've ever had on this podcast.
No, by having the card, it tells them that they know what they're doing.
Oh,
Even though they
I
have
see what you're
hands-on
saying.
experience. They're like,
Right.
I've got my
Yeah.
card, I've got 20 grand or 100 grand, and I'm going to get this boat and I'm good. Like, it's just like a car, it just doesn't have brakes. I'll figure it out.
Right.
Well, we
yeah.
do let 15-year-olds out on the road, so
Yeah.
we just try
Hey,
to.
I'd trust a 50-year-old on the road before I would somebody, a new boater out on the water.
Gosh, you know what? You're probably right about that. And
Yeah.
it is, I mean, I was literally out on the water 2 days ago, and there was a sailboat under motor crossing me in a channel. I'm also in a powerboat. I am definitely the stand-on vessel. I am in the channel. They are crossing the channel. I am the vessel to starboard. We are both powerboats, whether they believe it or not. And I ended up deciding that they were not going to obey the stand-on giveaway rules. And so I throttled back and I let them cut me off. And because I just have so much experience on the water that I anticipate other people knowing less than I do. And it would be so scary to be on that sailboat if I was, let's say I was just a passenger and I'm looking at this situation and I have no knowledge. That's a much bigger boat than this little sailboat we're on, and you're believing that we're gonna be okay if we go in front of it. Like, why are you okay with this? Like,
Right,
I would not have that instinct, and yet you kind of have to trust the person on the helm. And I hate that for people. I hate that for people, and I want them to have the knowledge. But that brings me to, more often than not, the thing people are most afraid of, though, is docking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I've had a lot of
And
crap
it's
about docking, mind you. If you go on my Instagram account, Confident Captain, somewhere about halfway down, there's a guy, and it's like, don't stand while docking in our boats, right? So I've gotten hate stuff on there that I don't know what I'm talking about, and blah, 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 blah. And the thing is, I know as a captain, you use starboard and you use port.
Sure.
But when you have somebody for the first time, and because I know some people are only going to catch me for a 2-hour lesson, right? I'm not going to be barking starboard and port as they're coming into a dock.
Yes.
I'm just not, because they're going to be going starboard. A port is 4 letters. It's left. Like,
oh, yeah.
and by that time it's too late, So,
Yeah.
It's had almost 2 million views. And the captains that get on there just rip me a new A. And so, and I answered like the first 20.
That's way more than I would.
Well, it was a new account. So I answered the first 20, and then I was just like, screw it. Like, and then you had people bickering.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like letting it run. But it wasn't just about the left-right thing.
Sure.
It was a lot of it. But it was about feathering. This word, feathering the throttle. Okay? It's a made-up term. I've never heard of it. Who are you? Are you someone's mother? Like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I rode motocross. It's feathering. It's when you're taking the boat in and out of gear, right? And even if it's my made-up term, which it's not, because we use it in the water sports.
Sorry, I'm just dying thinking about all these people giving you hell and having no idea what your resume is and what a badass you are.
And the thing is, I'm also an international tournament driver. So I was the official driver for the World Games, the first woman ever, and for the Pan American Championship.
Jesus!
And I'm driving this year. So, by God, feathering, you guys. We're in literally, that's what I'd be doing. Or I'd be going like this.
Yeah.
So,
Come on in.
so
Oh,
but the fact is,
good.
I don't teach. So when someone takes lessons from me, the very first thing I do is I teach them docking.
Yeah.
And I explain it to them like this. It's slow speed. We're not even going to get up to 30 unless, again, we're sweating in our butt cracks, and then we just got to get some air going. So what I do is I teach an open area, changing course, a closer area, changing course, and then a tight area, and then also a 3-point turn in the event you are in a marina and you shot past your target or whatever.
Love it.
So, and then I teach 3 different docking scenarios if there's a dock available for those things. Because, like I tell them, you get your panties in while getting out, okay? And then you go out and you have fun all day. And then you get your panties in the while coming in. And you forget about how much fun you had out on the water.
Yeah.
So if I'm teaching them how to dock first, they're golden. And it's just simply feathering the throttle, you 2 million disbelievers. Let me show you how to do it. 2 fingers and a thumb.
I am obsessed. This makes me so happy.
As you can tell, it fires me up.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry the internet is being as internety as I know they can be. I am unique in how I handle the hate. I think it's hilarious. I think it's so funny that people have such hard and silly opinions when they don't know your resume. They don't know who you are. They don't know who they're talking to.
Even if it was my resume, and even if it was my made-up term, which it's not, because that's how I was taught. You know, it was called feathering.
I've called it feathering. I know exactly what you're talking about.
In and out of gear. I have long feathers, and I even have short feathers just to piss them off.
I call it bump, like bump it in gear.
Well, okay.
But I also call it, I have called it feathering. I call it, the problem is feathering has a different meaning in sailboats, which confuses them. So.
Right. Totally understandable. The reason why I like to use the word feather over bump, because I had some guy that was a 20-time national amateur champion rip me one on that same deal to let me know that he's never heard it in his whole life. Ugh. And I kind of wanted to put out my acclimates, like, but I didn't, because who cares?
Honestly, I'm going to start just posting every terrible thing that anybody ever says about me on the internet, because it's fun.
I mean, I don't care now, but the feathering thing, I use that because the boat is so low geared and it's so jumpy. Yeah. If I told someone to bump the throttle, their thought process of what bumping would be might be more hard. And so I teach the drive with the throttle with 2 fingers and a thumb, and the arm on the armrest, not to ever take their arm off the armrest.
Oh, I love that.
They can shift. And they can go forward, but then this way you don't get that, and you don't get that, right? Yeah. So and what they're doing is they're using. I do get a little OCD with that. It's important for them to relax. Yeah. And because they can literally drive like this with their thumb and their 2 fingers, like just using the muscles in their hand. Because it's so responsive, and you do that so you can feel the small little intricacies. Right.
So the type of boat you're on, I 100% agree with you. They should be using the armrest 1,000%. And
that's what it's there for.
That's absolutely what it's there for. There's tons of boats that's not an option. I completely understand that for people. But what I don't understand is people having any opinion on good communication. Like if you have already explained to somebody, this is what I mean when I say feather. If they know what you mean, you could say, butthole it in there. Like if they know what that means, great. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. And I think that's what it was,
And-
because the guy said, do you want me to do something? I said, you mean feather? And he goes, yeah, because we had talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if I'm doing lessons, I want, again,
Same.
like you said, it's about communication, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, to do these driving lessons is so much fun. I also teach safety and also reverse engineering in your mind about situations you get into, how to get out of them. And for example, it's windy, you're on the St. Johns River, and you're shooting the shit, and you're not paying attention, and you're blowing into the side. A lot of people might turn away from it. Well, now you turn away from the shoreline.
Yeah.
And you
I
might
understood
hit
exactly what
a
you meant.
dead head or something like that. So it's better to actually turn the nose into it to protect your prop, because your prop is the most valuable thing to get you home.
Yeah.
And then it stays in deep water, and then you reverse out.
Back out of
So we do
back out of
all
trouble.
these
Yeah.
kind of things. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, back in the day, I was a chase boat driver before GoPros and having them on a stick. You're gonna lose your shit on this one. So I'm driving, I'm falling directly behind a boat, and the rider, the photographer's in the nose of the boat,
Yeah.
and the rider's flipping over the nose of the boat.
Whoa.
He's actually
On
my neighbor,
purpose?
Eric Ruck, and his wife. So he's still alive. So this, but what happened, he was finished with his set, and for whatever reason, he landed, he tossed the handle, and then he carved back into the wake.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
So this is another thing that I teach people, and well, they're not well, I tell them, some people, we might do it, because here jet skis always buzz you. They're always like packing 2-3 people, or somebody's pulling a tubes and they're crossing in front of your boat, and then someone falls out.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be ready.
Yeah.
What do? Right? So here's this person, right? And they've fallen, I don't know, they've fallen in front of your boat. A lot of people would turn. Well, now you're going to hit them with a prop. So really, the best course of action, and this is a close proximity maneuver, is to actually turn into them. You might graze them with the nose of the boat.
Better than the prop.
But you're going to be swinging the prop away from that person.
Which is actually a man overboard technique that
Yeah.
not enough people practice.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And, I
Yeah.
told that to one of my people, and he actually hit me up last summer and said, Cathy, I want to tell you something that happened. He said, we were wake surfing. He goes, we had a lot of people on the boat, and I was just doing this, like as you do, watching the surfer. He said, for whatever reason, he goes, I went to look as a girl fell off the nose of the boat.
oh my God.
Ooh.
So then he turned into her and then, popped it. Popped
Amazing.
and dropped it.
Amazing. Amazing.
And he goes, Cathy, I know what it was. He said, it went into my file cabinet, and I just heard the words. And so I was like, you know what? I'm justified, like, sweet. So it's just things like that.
But it's like that muscle memory. If you have to think about it, it's too late. But by the time you get to that conclusion, this is what I should do. But like you said, if it's in there, it's reaction and saves somebody's life. That's awesome.
On the St. Johns River, you might have some floating logs or a dead head or something like that. You never know what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
Same thing.
yeah, I do a lot of life situation. I always tell people, at least with our boats, to always have a mask and a knife, a serrated knife with a rubber handle with a sheath, because you never know what you might run over. And in our boats, you have to cut that rope out, because if it gets sucked up into the transmission, you're screwed.
Amazing.
So then you got to get better.
I love that. That's a great tip. And honestly, I think it's in my go bag right now is my knife and mask. And I hate that it's in there, but it's in there.
Well, and then the other thing for the knife is I always do first aid. Just kind of hit them real quick and just say, hey, if there was like a severe injury where you needed a tourniquet and you don't have one in your first aid kit, what could you use? And I just have them look around the boat.
Yeah.
Because there's senseless deaths. Georgia had one last year, and it's because they tripped out and they didn't think about fender lines,
Yeah.
I said, man, I'd take my bikini off, man. Like whatever. I'd be butt naked. Like,
I'll cut my hair.
You could
Whoa.
cut your beard off. Yeah.
Easy now. How nice was this person really?
Yeah. But if you didn't have fender lines, you could take that knife and cut the bimini. Like
Yeah.
whatever it takes,
Yeah.
like to save somebody.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you just got to be switched on. But if you don't know, you don't know until you don't know. So if they at least kind of hear something, hopefully it registers somewhere in the back of their mind.
I love that. I love that you're truly creating better boaters out there. That makes me really obscenely happy. Now I want to talk about something that if I had told 10-year-old me what my life looks like right now, she'd be freaking out. She'd be so obsessed and so happy to hear it. Like every time I walk down a dock, I think about like 10-year-old me would be so excited that we're about to go do this. But 10-year-old me also thought we would be doing a lot more water skiing. And frankly, I'm just not that good at it. I can do it. I can get up and I can be on a ski, and I have done wake skating, and I can get up on a wakeboard, but I am terrible at it. Do you have any advice for somebody who is older and it hurts a lot more if they wanted to get started doing that?
Yeah. Go slow.
Okay.
Not too slow, but a lot of times what happens, people are sold the wrong equipment, or they choose the wrong equipment because they're going by price. And so the way that you fit someone for equipment is you go by weight and height, whichever one's greater. So for an example, if you had someone that was 6'2" and a $150, they would be, let's say, on a 142, unless our boards have gotten wider now, so he could actually be on a 139,
So
depending on what
shorter
it is.
but wider.
Shorter but
Okay.
wider, because you're displacing weight, you have to make up with it in surface area.
Okay.
But then if you have that guy that's 5'4" and 200, he's also going to be on he's probably going to be on a 145. But basically, two people, a tall, light person, a short, stocky dude, might share the same board because they're displacing the weight for the big guy in width and then the length for the tall guy.
Okay.
Right? Sort of a deal. If you do that, then you can go reasonable speed. And for adults, depending on what it is, probably between 18 and 21 is pretty fast for a beginner. Because when I was up in the North Fork there, almost everybody, I had them between that. I mean, even like some women or small kids, I have them like at 8 miles an hour. And that's what's so great about the wake sports boats.
Okay.
They have that low torque. You can set it at 5.
Oh, wow.
You know, like the littlest ones, you could fart and get them up. Like you wouldn't even need, you can literally pull them up. But it's nice because they maintain speed and it just makes it super simple. Of course, now they all have like some sort of wake deal, or they might have ballast systems, or they might have trim tabs to compensate, to get the stern up to make the wake flatter, so it's not so scary,
Okay.
Gotcha.
And sometimes a trick that I do is I'll put water in the nose to be able to get the back up, because now the boats are so big,
Oh.
they're just so heavy in the back. So if I compensate by putting weight in the nose, then I'm kind of balancing out the boat and making that wake flatter. But to answer your question, just go a little slower. For wakeboarding, you really want to have your chest up and your shoulders back. And I kind of, what I have people do is I'll have two people hold hands. Did you ever do this like when you're little and with another girl or a guy, and then you lean back and you hold each other up with your weight by just leaning back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of that. It's the same thing.
Okay.
You should let your body hold you up. You shouldn't be using your arms. Like, if you feel like, I always tell people on an effort scale from 1 to 8, how much effort are you using? And they're like 7. I'm like, give me a 3. Like, We're supposed to be just chilling, like hanging out for a ride, not holding on for dear life.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me.
That's,
And I know that in the past when I'm doing it right, it does feel easier.
yeah.
And I
And
never, yeah.
yeah, get your hips forward. If your hips are back,
Mm-hmm.
because you got to think about it, your tension point is from the pylon. Well, it's down here now, but it should be at the center of your waist. So if it's up here, the board's going to slide out. If it's out in front of you, you're going to catch an edge and you're going to have a wasabi facial.
Nah, I love that. Perfect. Okay, I'm so excited.
Yes.
I'm gonna go try this summer. Ed,
Try it.
wish me luck.
Yeah, wake surfing's kind of
Yeah.
the new thing. You know, that's really kind of what's selling boats right now, at least in our market.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it's also causing a bit of a shit show too, because again, we have drivers out there that are not aware of the wakes they are creating and that they're responsible for.
Oh, there you got that one.
Yeah. So it's just like a new boater. If I'm teaching them slow speed operation and you can be 100 feet or 200 feet from shore and they're just wanting to look at houses, so they'll probably be like 100 feet and they're plowing, but they're like, well, we're only doing 10, but they're sucking the boat to the bottom. So I tell them, put your throttle a little bit, get the boat on top of the water, and now you're achieving the same thing. And I hit them with, it saves you gas.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, fuel efficiency? Yes,
No.
please.
Yeah. The homeowner will appreciate it too, because they're not getting stuck beat up against their boathouse.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, just a bunch of there's so much knowledge in boating.
There's so much.
And
I mean, this is what I love about doing this podcast in particular, is that we get to talk to people that are experts in a particular part of boating. And like, you know, I know plenty about getting on whatever boat and making it go from point A to point B, but that's my expertise. I do not know what you know. I do not know Ed's crazy tanker nonsense. I do not know, you know, any of these high performance sailing vessel things. Like I don't know that world, but we get to play with it just a little bit because of this podcast.
Like those hydrofoil things, the hydrofoil ones.
God, I'm so desperate. So I've gotten to do it on power boats, but I haven't gotten to do it on the sailboats yet. I'm dying to. Internet, hook me up. What are you doing?
Yeah. Totally.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is usually the part where I let Ed like see if he's got any questions. Sometimes I let him have a say here.
I'm allowed to speak every once in a while. She lets me. I'm allowed out from underneath the stairs. So way back in the beginning, you were talking about the evolution of the boat.
Yeah.
The pylon and then the tower. Was that evolution? Because I kind of liken it to skateboarding, in the fact that a lot of the boards and the ramps developed because the athletes were creating these moves, and they're like, I need to do this move, but I'm being constrained by what's around me. Is that the same type of thing? Did the athletes wanting to do a flip or more than one flip or higher air or however they describe it, you know, go back to the boating industry, and the boat said, well, yeah, how can we help them do that?
So in the beginning, like when you did a trick, you got to name it. If it's something that nobody else can.
Right, yeah.
That's pretty cool, right? And then people, you know, a lot of sports cross over. So there's a lot of guys that were skaters. And so obviously they're wanting to do like ramps and rails. And the beginning of the ramp stuff, we used to use like, what is that, inch and a half or 2-inch pipes.
That's
like
not enough.
Fins on your board, and they get locked into the fins. Like, if you look at the Pro Tour, when it was sponsored by Ford and Mountain Dew, I think Budweiser was already out by that point. They did a gap. So they had literally 6 of these like pipes on a ramp, a floating Ford Ranger XLT with a flat piece with the 6 pipes. So you would hit the ramp gap, land on that, right? So it was all kinds of craziness. And that's also when the X Games, to try and get in the X Games, they needed it to be more action packed. So having those floating apparatus or obstacles or whatever you want to call it really kind of helped Chloe getting us into that, which I was in the last 2 before we actually got taken out of the X Games. But I think now it's a video submission or something like that.
Amazing.
Or maybe they're doing it.
All right, so now I have a follow-up question. Okay. What move is named after you?
You know, I don't have a move. Actually, I do have a grab, but I've never named it. We always joke because I'm from Kentucky and about it being gizzard.com, but we're not going to, because it doesn't sound very cool at all. I used to say cool beans all the time, so maybe cool beans, something like that. But in response to the boat aspect, what the boat industry ended up doing was creating ballast systems. But before internal ballast systems, you know, we had launch pad and fat sacks, which were these the stuff that they make stand-up paddle boards out of.
Okay.
And stuff. So they made these bags, and you just fill them up with water in your boat to get the boat, because what you're trying to do is displace more water, right, to push it to create this big wake behind it. And then there were some other innovative things that I thought was cool. I rode for a company called Tyga. They're still around. The industry spawned from the water sports tournament market. So your tournament boat had what was called hook. So at speed for slalom skiing, it would raise the stern, create a flat wake. Well, what happened when wakeboarding came, they were putting water in it and it was eating gas. So you had this like battle between the natural hydrodynamic lift and then trying to fill your boat with water. Right? So the boat that I rode for, it was Tyga boats, and what they did, and it was Charlie Pigeon, he took the hook out and he put rocker in it. Okay. And then he added a trim tab. Okay. So this way, if you wanted to do some kind of water sport and be more gas efficient, you could put the tab down, kind of simulating that same feeling. Then for wakeboarding, you use butts as ballast. You're going here, and it lets the 800-pound engine that's now in the back, because they were V drives at this point, sit and create a wake.
Oh my God.
So you didn't necessarily need as much balance as all the other boats.
Amazing.
And it was being gas efficient. It sounds like I'm a commercial, but I mean, I rode for them for 10 years. So it's and I have a background in sales. So it kind of went hand in hand. And they, you know, they coined off that.
No, that makes so much sense to me, and I'm so tickled that you did such a elegant job of explaining that, because while I understand it conceptually, and I have been on those boats and felt that experience, I would never have been able to describe it as well as you just did. So thank you. I'm stealing all of that in the future.
Take it and run, girl. Take it. And, you know, during that time, I ended up, as we all do, I say you're not pro until you blow, meaning blow your knee, on your knee, okay? I got a sponsorship from Chevy, and so I was the first girl to do a road tour.
Ooh.
And that kept me on the road. I did, I got a brand new, when they come out, 2003, the Chevy Avalanche.
Okay.
And I got a brand new one, put it on the road the next month, 35,000 miles and 300 hours on a boat in less than 4 months.
Yo, that is a lot of floating. Oh my goodness.
Well, I went through the US and Canada, went across Trans-Canada 1 up into like Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and then I dropped down into Cali and all that kind of good stuff, and then back across. And it was a lifestyle tour. So I had motocross bikes. I had 2 CRF 250s. I had 2 mountain bikes, snowboards, skateboards, surfboards, because when you get to Mount Hood, you can snowboard in the summer in July.
Oh my God.
Right. You're like your own traveling expert.
But it was cool because there was this outfit called Girls Learn to Ride, and it's where girls could go online and find any sport that they wanted to do, a clinic nearby them. So I had like a little subcontract with them. So because of that, I was also. Do you remember Fuel TV?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a show called GKA, Girls Kick Ass.
Yes.
Oh.
And so Tina Basic, pro snowboarder, that was her show. I did all the wakeboard segments.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Ah.
That's amazing. I am
yeah.
Ed. How did we get cool enough to hang out with her? Ed.
I am not. I am not. I can tell you that.
This is ridiculous.
It was fun. Because all he did. So Fuel gave me like a little camcorder. So I'd be like,
Right.
I was like queen of the selfies.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was like, damn, I had when Bell South turned singular, I had my little card with the little antenna, trying to be all business-like in my, like, setting up clinics and stuff. But I would film myself, send it into Fuel, and then they would edit it and then put it on her show. And so I think I did about 5 shows, something like that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and they'd hook me up with like pro motocrossers. So I would take them out, wreck them on a tube, or teach them surfing, or wake surfing or wakeboarding, and then we go to the track and we'd ride, and then they teach me some cool stuff on dirt bikes, and vice versa. Yeah,
That is
It's cool.
such a cool life, and I'm stupid jealous, but this does seem like a fabulous point to close this thing out, because
Yeah.
all of my jealousy is reaching up and grabbing me, and so I'm gonna say thank you so much. This has
You're
been
welcome.
the Funny Boat Podcast of Bon Voyage. Yo, this is ridiculous.
awesome. How do we do this? I'm like, no, I didn't even do anything. I just clicked on.
Confident captain.
There's Meg.
Oh, puppy dog. I
Oh.
love it, puppy dog. All right, bye, everybody. We're going to play with the dog now.
Bye. See you guys. Thank you.